Mullinville is a great little town. It's wonderful. We have 2 churches, and most of the people here are church-going people. Not everybody's going to agree all the time, but we all get along very, very well.
The person of the wrong color, even when I was in high school, the person of the wrong color coming into this town were chased out by the police, whether they be Indian, black, Chinese.
I've probably been mayor for about 12 years. Well, it's a very pleasant place. There's very nice people in it. People are very willing to help each other. A nice community to raise a family in. I would like Mullinville to be known as a nice, clean city, a place to live, to raise a family, young children, to have a good education system. To me, that's very important, the education part of the town. That all goes together with your city.
Every town seems to have a character in town, and we have one here.
Tell you a little bit about M.T. Liggett.
As I was a child, M.T. was somebody that little kids pretty well steered away from. They were scared of him. He was grouchy. He, wasn't very nice to little kids. So I was scared of him and stayed away. And I didn't really know him as a person, as a child. When I came back, M.T. and I got along just fine. He was always joking, always playing pranks, at the cafe. And he expresses himself to people, takes opinions, I guess I should say, and uses against them.
I've known M.T. Liggett ever since I lived here. He came, about a year after I moved here, he came back home. He was away in service, and then he came back here.
M.T. Liggett, Myron Thomas, is a highly educated, talented man. But sometimes he crosses the fine line. Sometimes I think there's a fine line between an idiot and being highly intelligent sometimes.
M.T. is a hell of an ingenious man. I mean, his college studies and everything else. And it's just like here a few weeks ago, he went over to our neighbor town, went to Liggett, said a few things. Well, you know what they're saying about you over there, Mullinville? Then he come over to Mullinville, and he's the coffee drinkers, morning coffee drinkers. And you know what their sons of guns are saying? Doesn't make any difference. He just likes to see an argument.
If he finds somebody or some issue that he would like to bring up to irritate somebody, he puts up a sign, and you may get your name on there. If he doesn't agree with what you might have done, you get your name up on a sign, and sometimes it isn't always nice.
M.T.'s very talented. Do I think M.T.'s talented? Yes, I do think M.T.'s talented. He's very talented. He's very educational. He knows a lot about a lot of different things, but he doesn't use his talents in a productive way.
And some of them are all right if you understand what they're. A lot of them are in Greek mythology. I mean,
In this small little town, it doesn't need any more problems or arguments brought up between people. And I think if he would use his art for good and pitch in and use all his efforts, instead of trying to tear down the city and put toilets up and nasty signs, clean it up, or make something pretty, or put good things about Mullinville on his signs, so that when they drive down the highway and see those signs, they remember Mullinville for maybe its history or its prettiness.
We don't want to be known as something that's different. That the idea of the town is just to be a nice little town to live in.
Start asking questions if you're going to ask questions.
Okay.
I think M.T. is a very lonely person. This is why he does the things he does.
He's just an argumentative person and always wants to, have a disagreement going, always an argument.
When he takes it a little too far sometimes, there's certain people he picks on, and they have to live in this town, and the signs aren't pretty or appropriate to those people.
He and I ended up having a disagreement at the cafe, and he expressed his anger towards me and his signs and his art.
He put up artwork about me. He put up a big sign. That's what I was going to try to show you, the sign, but he took it down because he probably knew you were coming. He has a sign up about my wife. That doesn't bother me, stuff like that. But what he had to sign up offended other people, so then that bothers me. You can say things about me that aren't going to hurt me, but when you say things about people I'm friends with or my wife, that offends me.
So if you argue with him, get your totem pole up. If he puts a totem pole up about me, I told him just give me a buzz. I'll come help him set it up. No problem.
And I like MT a bunch. And we were always good friends, so just here late, I don't know what happened.
Well, hell, if you want to be ignorant, hell, that's your choice. I'm gonna say that ignorance by choice can destroy a nation.
And I don't think anything's gonna ever get better between MT and the town of Mullinville because MT carries a grudge to Mullinville.
There's some people I know in the community who just love to take a bulldozer to his place. The day he kicks the bucket, they'd be in there the next minute with a bulldozer, just taking it down, just because he just got under their skin.
Josh, this is Paula. I took MT Liggett to court since this document has went out, and we have mutual restraining orders against each other, and we are not supposed to speak to each other about each other. We can't be in the same area, that kind of thing. So most likely I probably shouldn't talk on this documentary. So I hope you can find other people to speak with you, but I don't think it'll work. And with all the money and time I spent in lawyers, and I really don't want to chance that. I kind of like the way we have the arrangement now. So good luck with that, honey. Okay, bye.
What are you doing? Get in here.
Yeah, I'm trying to get out of the rain. I'm Lloyd Dykes, and this is Tanya.
Tanya Locke.
We're from Tennessee. We're just traveling through.
Tanya.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I don't know where they got a Tanya heart out there, but I make hearts.
Oh, yeah?
But I don't give them to the dudes. But
Oh,
God almighty, look at those shoes he's got on.
oh yeah.
Got 'em at a yard sale.
We're just passing through. We're headed towards Montana. We seen all your stuff. I just love it.
Ain't you going to the mountains in Montana?
Yeah, but we made
I don't even want to
She was
talk.
reading the road map. We made the wrong turn and look where we went.
Did you really?
Yeah, we're not
Yeah.
going through Kansas City, Kansas and go through Iowa, through Nebraska. She was reading the map, made the wrong turn, and I'm way down here now.
Yep. Wrong turn. Brought us right to you.
You want me to make you a heart?
Well, I guess you can.
Come on. And hey, Tanya?
Yep.
Tanya or Tanya?
Tanya.
Tanya.
Yep.
Where are you from in Tennessee?
I'm from up around Kentucky and he's from Tennessee.
She's from around Paducah, Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, that's where all those bootleggers are.
That's right. That's right.
I think her granddaddy was a bootlegger.
Ain't no doubt about it. I believe the hell out of that stuff.
Yep.
Hey, well, let's go back here and make Tanya a heart.
Just kind of-
Hey, Tanya, is this good enough?
Yes, perfect, perfect. Yes.
Well, get back here and help me make this damn thing. And have
How long you been collecting stuff? Years and years and years?
You mean how long have I been making this stuff?
Yes.
Oh, 20 years, but I've been making, yeah. Well, hell no, you don't want to get married, good looking thing like you.
Well, thank you.
But I wouldn't have you.
Oh, okay.
Well, damn, you're so damn laundry guy, get a woman like you, you'd be out there on the road every night trying to find you. Well, I wish somebody would tell me someday why women are attracted to fancy pickups and motorcycles.
I don't know. I'm not too much into motorcycles. I'm afraid I'll fall off. We're just in shock of all the stuff out here, all the stuff that turns, and it's so neat.
She don't have much of a southern drawl. You'd never know she was a southern maiden, would you?
No, you can't tell it.
Okay,
Oh, good
now let's just
deal.
get her by herself.
Oh, okay. You want me by myself?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
You don't want my ugly ass in there. Well,
Listen at you. That's fine.
well, I'm sure glad. I'm glad you stopped. You made my day.
Well, you made our day too.
All right.
Yes,
glad
and
to see
thank you so much. Thank
All right.
you. I really love it. I'm gonna put it on
He
my
don't
day.
get mad when I tell you you're good looking.
No, and thank you for that.
Well, you are good looking. But you're safe. I'm coming 80 years old.
You don't think me and you work up a trade about this building? You can just take her and get that truck go on.
Man, I take
I'm
her
afraid you just take the truck go on.
Hell, I'll tell you what, when you get a vacation next time or doing something, you guys come out here. Hell, I got a place to stay. I put you up in my house, got a separate bedroom, separate bathroom. I have a
You
lot
got
of people.
everything, don't you?
Oh, pretty.
Boy, I'm on the truck. Let me get my camera. How's that? Let me
Yeah,
get
you
my
go
camera.
get your
I want
camera.
to get one picture with you.
Don't mess around.
Okay, I'm hurrying.
She's my gal, isn't
Yeah, she is. She does stuff like this. You know, I went in her bedroom first night I ever seen her. That time we went in the bedroom, man. She had a possum board. Possum board you stretch a hide on. How many damn women you ever heard of have a possum board in the bedroom?
it? Well, that's number one.
I'm gonna take one more. Good enough. Ready?
I'm gonna hold her close.
2, 3. Good looking.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
made her
much.
day.
Okay.
Thank God.
Took this off some old appliance and put on it. This will mash your fingers and won't give them back to you. Cress.
I'm J.C. Underwood. I live in Mullinville, Kansas, and I run the saddle shop here. Another one of them lost arts. EMT is a friend of mine for the last 27, 28 years. I ran him off once for a year. He's going to cut my tongue out, but he come right back in a year and 4 or 5 days later. Yeah.
Oh my, how do you describe EMT? My first encounter with M.T. Liggett was at a farm sale north of Mullinville. And I had no idea who this man was, but he came up and stood there and just looked at me for a while, looked me up and down, and he said, "You're that guy that works on clocks, aren't you?" I said, "Yes." Okay. He stood there and looked at me a little while and walked away. And I had no clue who he was. So I asked somebody, and they said, "Well, that's M.T. Liggett." And I had heard stories about M.T. Liggett, but didn't know him. And he brought me his clock, and I worked on it. Got it running for him, and he paid me. And M.T., I figured out he had a hard time saying thank you. But he later brought me a disc, and that was his way of saying thank you.
He was there to stir people up, no doubt about that. And he knew what he was doing. I think he very carefully handled his image as he approached people and institutions, quite frankly.
Well, I think my initial thoughts of him were probably the same as anybody else's.
Boisterous, loud, arrogant, humble, but he once you were his friend, you were his friend. I think he was kind of picky about who he chose to be his friends, because he was my friend. I liked being friends with M.T.
First thing, he basically like grabbed me by the arm and pulled me into the shop and started welding, and I was like...
He's eccentric, and he was loud, and sometimes vulgar.
Probably dirty and hair in a mess and a bandana around his neck or around his head and a pair of bib overalls with buttons on it. The buttons all had meaning to them. The only one I ever knew was a yellow button. When he put a yellow button on a pair of bib overalls, it means it'd been washed enough times to be soft enough for him to wear.
Having an opinion about MT is something that everybody in Mullinville and Greensburg has, and it's comfortable for them, and I think that he doesn't care. He doesn't give a rat's ass.
MT was good at putting on a show. He was good at delivering up a crazy rebel outsider artist.
His hands, you could just see it. He's tough. Just seeing him was what you would expect, with the overalls and the gruff personality, but his hands, rough and dirty and calloused, and you could tell the hard work that he did.
Sparks don't bother you. You just get burned up so many times that you don't pay attention to it anymore. This will be, the heads will be on up here. I'll taper that down. And then for arms, so kind of like you're flying. So it's going to be 10 foot tall. Ten feet tall, 8 feet wide. The arms like that. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Sunday, July the 3rd. I got a camera crew here, and we are working and filming on the crocodile. You've got till tonight to call me and tell me, should we or should we not paint that dang crocodile? I don't know what to do, but I would appreciate your input. Bye. We're gonna get this to going, and
man, you do have a lot of coffee mugs, don't you?
Yeah, go on in there. Look, yeah, come on in here. Take a look.
How many do you think you have? Do you have any idea how many coffee mugs you have?
I've got 26,000 all together. All these bills.
26,000.
Well, I can get 1,200 to a load. I made 20 trips to get them. 20, 25 trips. I don't know. Shit, I don't know. You just do it. Why does a person do anything? You act on what you want to do. I wanted to collect coffee cups and I did.
Nice to talk to you.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, we're in a kind of a bind here today. I'm running a little behind. And you see, I'm making this new titty thing I got here. Everybody likes them. There's one thing about breasts. You chew on them for day one, and when you die 90 years later, you wish you could die chewing on one. But anyway, that wasn't very nice, was it?
Do you think MT's a bit of a womanizer?
A bit? Have you noticed all the breasts? Yeah. I think he'd like to call himself a womanizer. I think he'd love to fulfill that destiny more than maybe he does, I hope. But yeah, he does notice. He checks you out. Does the little head to toe every time you walk up to him.
I've come up with this idea and it's going crazy. Every man likes titties. So I made this heart with the titty sticking out of it. This is, I haven't got it finished, but this will be red. See? See it? Is that good enough for a titty or not? That's why I have nipple rings, see? Is that too big a titty for that heart?
MT was fond of breasts. What else can you say? And so anytime he made a sculpture of a woman, she always had big breasts. And this is one she made for my wife, Cindy, and Cindy never complained about it. Let's put it that way.
Tell that good-looking wife of yours I think she's a fox. P-H-O-X, fox.
They loved him, and he loved them. He loved all women. He just liked women. And everywhere he went in the world, he had a girlfriend. And some of them were special, some of them were not one-night specials, and that was about it. He liked the ladies. And one lady was not appropriate.
That's one of the best pieces I ever made. You ought to see the old gal I made that for. How almighty, she is a number one. Only one problem. She's about 50 years too damn young. Now don't breathe this shit. Some people appreciate me because I got guts enough to do it. But I get these people in here don't understand it and they live all pissed off. I got people that got pissed off over this Rapunzel. I made a totem for a friend of mine's daughter. Her name is Cassie. And she got real long blonde head and big old hooters. And I built her. I got her with her head leaning backwards like Rapunzel did when the guy climbed her hair to get up the tower. Well, I got her bent over backwards and her titties are sticking up there, and these people here think that's crazy. I said, Jesus Christ, half the population of the world's got two titties. And if you're going to fantasize about woman, she ain't going to be flat-chested, for Christ's sake. I'm not a lover. No, I'm not that. But Jesus Christ, I was been single. Don't forget I'm 79 years old. I've been on my own since I was 17. God damn, if you only met one woman every month, look how many women that would be in a lifetime. That don't mean I'm immoral or nothing. I just like women. And I put them up down there in that art.
I do think his stories are all true. I think in his younger days, he was quite the ladies' man, and he could clearly turn on the charm.
As far as these women, so you meet a woman, you take her picture, you look at a picture of the woman. What does that tell you? Tells you what she looked like. Don't tell you shit about the woman. But you put her up in abstract art, and you put everything you do. Every love affair is different. Like there's one down there called Jamaica. I went to the San Juan Hotel one night, and they were having this Latin American conference, and President Johnson was there. Well, there was this good-looking woman, and I mean, she was a boss. Well, she wanted to dance. They had a band, but there's none of these assholes knew how to do that dance. I was tall and skinny then. I'd been to Spain and knew how to dance that stuff. Goddamn, we went out there and we really put on a show. Well, then we got a love affair started. Got arrested 2 or 3 times, and they couldn't arrest her. Of course, they can't arrest her, they couldn't arrest me. And if you've been to Orlando, Florida, you know about those big old fountains that shine at night and shoot water in the air. Well, we went swimming in the fountains. We didn't have any clothes on. Here come the cops. This one guy wanted to run us in. They called this old sergeant. He said, "Turn the sons of bitches loose. They're leaving today." She was up here for the last time. She was going to be a single woman. She was going to go back to South America. She was going back to a prearranged marriage in South America, and this was her only shot. Goddamn, we had a time. Ooh, Jesus. So I got her up down there. Got a fish on her head. She had a tattoo, not a tattoo, she had a birthmark on her butt. She was cute. Went to a liquor store one time, and you remember how they used to put wine in a pyramid? You've seen that. She wanted a bottle of wine. So instead of taking one off the top, she took one off the bottom. Well, there was wine all over that goddamn liquor store. So they took us down to the police station. The old boy, he was down there to collect his money for his wine and all this shit. He got the old cop mad. Cop said, "Just tell him how much goddamn money you want. I'll collect it and get your ass out of here." That was been 50 years ago.
What's the tree? Give me the tree! By the way! Hi, Libby. Yeah, pretty good sized one. Lottie's mad. I didn't. Go get her. Go get Kiki. Come on. I'm not hiding. Well, quit hiding because they're trying to find you.
But you got a mean-ass husband. He might whoop on me and hurt me.
Maybe.
Bye.
See you later. Hey, what you got to trade today?
You're not going to beat me out of nothing else. You already said that.
Love you.
That old man. I adore him. He's funny.
It's a lot of political. It's a lot of small town political politics. If they like you, things go well. If they don't like you, they make your life miserable. And if you're new, they try to make your life miserable. Other than right now, it's been switching hands, like MT's on the city council now. So now the city council ain't after MT no more. The city was on him about his signs. So they couldn't do nothing about them. So then they started giving him trouble for the house, for his house needing painting. Well, there's a city ordinance that says the house has to be painted. It doesn't say how the house has to be painted. So MT painted the house. Then the city took him back to court to say that the house wasn't painted correctly. But the judge ruled that the city didn't say how the house had to be painted, therefore the house stays painted.
What's it called?
The house in color. That's what we call it.
And that's his son's house. That's for sale.
MT's son?
Yeah.
What's his name?
I can't tell you that. I know it too, but I can't tell you. His stuff don't bother me, but I know it does other people. they've been over the spruce. Yeah, see how the signs are been over here at the cemetery?
Oh, yeah.
Now see, this is what we're talking about down here. I don't know if that was done because of MT or if somebody done it just because they could.
Oh, taking them down?
No,
How about look at it?
This is what I was telling him when I went in there. His 666 is down. Somebody's done his 666 that way.
Oh, pulled it down?
They're pulled down and in.
That just happened?
Yeah. That's been done.
Kyle said he's seen it back then.
But that's some more of his artwork. And if you notice, the Mullenville is up, whereas the Detour is down. They've been it down and in.
Doing it like that.
You go get in the car. Don't ask me, because I don't know. I don't see it as a controversy.
So MT, does that happen to you a lot? Like that's thing that this lady took me to the cemetery, and we got to the end, and there was that sign that says Mullenville and then 666, and someone broke it. Is there a lot of does that happen to you a lot?
Yeah.
What do you think it is? Kids? Just
No, it's grown-ups. Kids won't do that. Kids wouldn't know about 3/6s.
You know, he would say that why would he spend time making a piece for somebody he didn't like? Because a lot of people will say, well, he just hates all those people, and that's why he made work about them. But I've heard him say many times, why would I waste my time on somebody I didn't like?
You got to understand, I'd be a goddamn fool to work 2 or 3 days to make a totem for somebody I don't like. These people don't seem to understand that.
He done a totem pole of me, and I've got great big ears because I hear everything, but then he cut question marks in them because I don't believe everything I hear.
Out of everybody that stops by here, how many people do you think are eccentric?
Probably all of them. The artists don't. The rednecks do. Not many rednecks stop, really, no. They don't. Most rednecks are ignorant by choice. And that's what's wrong with our nation now. People are chosen to be ignorant. There's no reason for a person to be ignorant today. None.
He read a lot. He did. He picked up parts of new languages so that if he had like the bus tour come through or something, he had foreigners on there, he could tell them thank you and thank you for coming and whatever in their language. No, he didn't miss too much.
He's a very smart man, very intelligent.
I went to 4 universities. Sorry? 4 universities. I went to Texas and
University of Texas?
Canyon, University of Texas at Canyon, and I went to Las Vegas to UNLV. That's where it's up my criminal law. After I got out of school, I decided I didn't want to be a lawyer, and so I got into the lumber tool business, making lumber tools for the lumber people in California. Well, I started art in grade school, but then I got this started in 1989. I built a gargoyle to protect the horse. You'd already know that.
What amazes me about his work is just the physicality of what it took for him, especially as an elderly man, to make these and to put them up. And I still don't know how some of them he did it by himself.
The pieces that he built were huge and weighty. Even the drill stem pipe that he used to mount them on was heavy. And so the task of putting these things up was huge. He had an old truck with a crane on the back of it that he could lift them up and then set them in a hole in the ground, and he had an auger he could drill the hole with.
I don't really have a story. I just art person does art to create a thought, or takes a thought and makes something out of a thought. That's all art is.
I mean, he would get loads and loads of junk from a junkyard in Dodge City and other places, and cut it and assemble it, paint it sometimes.
You think you're eccentric? I'm not eccentric. I just go out there and make that stuff. I don't think everybody can do it, but they could if they wanted to, I guess.
The weight was just something beyond belief, and here he's in his 80s.
Look at that stuff down there. That art is all balanced. That is the hardest goddamn thing for people to figure out. It has to be balanced, and if you ain't got it, you ain't got it.
I think he's amazing. I think that his folk art influence is one of a kind. I've never seen anything like it, and so prolific. There's just tons of it. It's everywhere, and I don't know. I think that it's perfect for this area. That you could have. It's just like Greensburg too. It's so homogenous, and it seems kind of conservative and very, held back. And then there's these little seeds of brilliance and of difference to that and contrast. And he's the best example of that contrast.
What are you drawing? Huh?
What are you drawing?
Boot. Can't you see that? I sleep, play poker, dance a little bit once in a while, and make art. Don't need anything else.
Look here, let me tell you something. I don't worry myself about who my baby gives a thing to. You better hear what I say. Cause it ain't no use. Because what you don't know won't hurt you. Somebody else is gonna love her too. Oh yeah. You better come on now and hear what I say. You don't have to worry. She's gonna give it away. She's gonna give it away. Let me tell you what she'll do. When she goes out at night, I don't worry about what she's gonna do. Oh, no, 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 no. When she goes out at night, I don't worry about what she's gonna do. Oh, yeah, no, no. She's gonna do what she wanna anyway. So all that worrying ain't no use. It just ain't no use. You don't have to worry, not a day. She's that kind of woman, yes she is. She's gonna give it away. She's gonna give it away. You don't have to worry, baby. She's gonna give it away. It just ain't no use in worrying now. She's gonna give it away. When you're doing this stuff like this, when you pick up that piece of chalk and lay out a piece of metal, you have no idea what the hell it's going to do, really, sometimes. See what I'm doing, this kind of work? People look at me and they, what the hell he's doing? Well, sometimes I don't know what the hell I'm doing. See, everybody worries, oh, I can't do that, oh, I can't do that, I can't be an artist, I can't draw nothing. You're full of shit. The only people that's not an artist is somebody in a goddamn rest home that sits there and shits all over themselves and addles all day. Art is a gauge of how your nation is doing. And they're cutting out art. They're taking out the art out of the classrooms. Jesus Christ, that's the worst thing to take out. You cannot be dumb and be an artist. There's no way. I know I act dumb and I do it for a reason. But see, if you act dumb, you don't have to answer any more questions.
somebody comes in here and they act to me like a redneck, and I act like I'm dumber than a box of fucking rocks. Well, it don't take them long, they're gone. I'm always into it with some kind of religious group. They come out here and start their bullshit. Well, we're going the wrong direction, our education. Art and music, I mean real music. There's no goddamn way an idiot can play a violin. There's just no goddamn way. You come out here, everything is football, basketball, sports, and all that shit. Logic, Greek mythology, philosophy, the Pythagorean theory, that kind of shit. What's going to happen when someday in the future somebody's going to have to know algebra, calculus, know about Euclid? You're going to have to, because you could destroy the United States today. Somebody could. Or you could and go the other direction. All you have to do is shoot down a couple 100 satellites and we're fucked. But I could make it out here. At 79 years old, I could still take off, and hell I could have with a knife and a parachute cord and a piece of plastic and, you know, and a tarp and a gun. I could still go out right out here and live right out here if I had to. I was born in a clean shack house out there, right on a hill out there.
Really? So you lived here your whole life?
No, I went away to the military for 20 years. Mm-hmm. And then I came back. I don't know why, but I did.
What was your rank in the Army?
Never mind, I don't talk about it. Started out in the Navy, was on a battleship and 4 aircraft carriers. Got enough of it and switched it over to it's candy ass, but what the hell. 11 years of war. You know, I've seen some bad goddamn days. Far worse than a fucking tornado, I'll guarantee you. I don't go for anything candy ass. You might have guessed that.
Know that something in there was horrific for him. He mentioned on numerous occasions that he would still wake up at nights and in a sweat and with nightmares over whatever it was that happened, but he would never explain that, never was willing to go near it. The only thing I ever talk about my military career is the fun times I had, and I had a good time. MT had, as I had mentioned earlier, a long history in the military. And during that time, he certainly lived the bawdy life of infantry people. And he prided himself in being the first American thrown in a Japanese jail after we gave Japan back to them following World War II. I think he was thrown in jail in Japan for drunken disorderly, probably chasing a prostitute, who knows. I mean, he really lived a pretty raunchy life in those years and took his liberties and got himself in trouble on many fronts. He was in Fairbanks, Alaska one time, and I think has the object that perhaps sums up his entire life. He was visiting a prostitute, and after all was said and done, he got in a dispute with her. I don't know whether it was time or services or what, but at the end of it, he grabbed his clothes, picked them up, ran out of there nude. She went out chasing him, and this was the clock used to keep time. And she threw it at him, and he caught it, and he brought it home, and he gave it to me. And I told him, I said, MT, this is the one object that sums up your entire life. And I think it does in many respects. He was very proud of the clock, let me tell you. MT had an interesting relationship with both Mullinville and Greensburg. And I think as his art accumulated over years, and there were just increasingly larger number of pieces along the roadside, he depicted many more people, and in that had an opportunity to make some people more irate. Occasionally he did put up things of people that I think he didn't particularly like. If he thought the city council or somebody on the city council in Mullinville or Greensburg was a dumbass, he'd say they're a dumbass.
He would not cause the problem. He would sort of catch you doing things wrong, lawful, illegal, and then he would bring that to light, and so therefore he was the troublemaker because he pointed out things that you were not supposed to be doing, but you were doing.
He didn't like hypocrisy. And that was the reason for if you're in the wrong person's bed and you're in a high-profile position, people ought to know about that.
You either love him or hate him, and from time to time I hated him, and from time to time I loved him.
He criticized everybody. He says, I don't care. I don't care what anybody thinks about me. So he's not bashful about expressing his political or personal views to anybody who will listen. And a lot of those that don't want to listen.
Well, some of them he'd get along with, and others were at the end of the totem pole.
You have to look and think beyond just the pieces that are there. They start a conversation. And in fact, one of his favorite sayings, and I think a key to the insight into his work, was, I can't make you mad, only you can make you mad. And he found many ways to trigger people into getting them mad.
They tell us that religion is civilized. Yep, that's what they told those witches when they burned them at the stake in Europe. Thousands of people, women, burned them at the stake because they were witches, and tried that shit in the United States. Well, now I told you this is the epicenter of the Christian Taliban. I mean it. This is it. I don't get along with these far-out Christians. I do, like I say, the only people that really give me a bad time are these Christian Taliban folks. Now, they come after me. That church out here east of town was one of them. That's a fucking cult. Right here. They call them Church of Christ. Well, since you were here, one of them, well, you were here, you got here right after I got had that old boy in court for destroying my stuff. Mm-hmm. Well, that was last year. He murdered his wife. He's still in jail. Wait, no, that was last year I had him in trial.
What did you do to your stuff?
Took a tractor, knocked it down.
Out here?
Out here, east of town. In Mullinville, he was a hero of Mullinville. These Christian people would kill your ass if they could, but they can't do it anymore, you know. I'm not any different. I'm not eccentric. I just think things over. If I really didn't like what those sons of bitches are doing over there, I'd get me a B-52 and I'd end the son of a bitch within 15 minutes. That won't go over very well on your goddamn film, will it, son?
I don't, you know, you can't get anybody in Mullinville to say a good thing about MT because that's what they see. They see that artwork. It's never appreciated. They vandalize that. They go, you know, they don't appreciate what's there. And it's not the kids doing it. It's the adults putting the kids up to doing it.
For some reason, the religious folks do not like this art, and I don't know why. They think it's pagan, and they think it's immoral, and they think it should be destroyed. And they will if they get a shot at it.
They tried to tear it down before.
Yes. Spray paint it, steal it, and just flat wreck it. I was in the hospital 3 years ago now when they knew I wasn't here and I was in the hospital and I was in kind of bad shape, and they come out here and played havoc with my artwork. I thought that was real brave of them.
What happened back here?
A fire.
That's all I know about
That's
it.
all I know. Blew up.
Somebody was saying it was kind of sketchy.
Probably.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of bad people around here, I think.
Someone
so.
stole the totems. Who does that?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't heard anything about it. I haven't even asked him about it. All I just know is the fire.
Stephanie had to say about my little accident over at the barn.
She said that she didn't exactly know, or she wasn't exactly sure what had happened, but just that you were in it and that it had just like exploded.
Now that happened on Friday, May the 7th, and 2 days later this place caught on fire.
Were you hurt?
Got burned a little bit.
He stopped everybody after that fire from going down in his pond fishing because of that fire. See, he thought somebody was trying to kill him in that fire.
That happened while you were in that?
Goddamn right, it went off. It exploded while I was in there.
And you were in that shed?
I was in there when they exploded.
How did you not get hurt?
That's it.
Huh? I mean, it looked like, it was a big explosion, wasn't it?
Oh, hell yes, it was a big explosion.
Yeah, he was in it. And
The fire marshal says that it was propane that blew up. But MT thinks truthfully somebody was trying to kill him.
Because they're on different circuits.
Yeah.
And a few days after the barn went, there was an electrical issue in the other building.
I happened to be the one to find that one.
Yeah.
But they think the wiring just got too hot from the fire. But yeah, he is totally convinced somebody tried to kill him.
It burnt down. That's the end of the story. I don't know what got away or which went where or what, but it burnt down.
And lastly, were you here? Were you home when the barn blew up?
Yes, I did.
What happened?
I have no idea.
Just blew up.
Well, it just, I wouldn't say blew up, it caught on fire.
I think, now this is just an I think. I think one of those old tractors that he had in there that had propane in them was leaking.
Okay.
And that's what blew up.
Okay.
And when it did, it blew him out of that building.
Crazy.
Well, it was because I'm the one that turned in the fire alarm on it because he drove up here in my yard. Call the fire department. Well, when you came out, you could see smoke coming out the roof. And so I don't think he was that close to it. I think maybe because he lives over here.
No, I was actually out of town that day, and I teased everybody that I was cleaning up. So not that I did it, but it was a bad deal. I was gone, actually.
But he was worried that somebody was trying to kill him because some of his signs get kind of raunchy. I actually figured when that fire took place that he was in there and that was the end of him. And I still say he's gonna die right there in that building.
You know, he could have done some welding and cutting, but it has a dirt floor in it, so how would dirt? I'm not gonna say.
Yeah, they had a few thinking people that called to see when this fire happened, the TV come out, because I'm pretty well known. And they made a news item, and had some people call us newscaster, who was a friend of mine, and they say, well, think good things like he couldn't happen to a nicer guy. And I appreciate that.
Was it scary?
What happened it was. Wonder how he killed him. Ever this relationship, like the old gal, and I was telling him, he knows the story. I met a gal down in Florence, Italy. We was looking at Michelangelo's David. The next day, I was going to Brussels, Belgium, and she was going back to Norway. Well, we flew to Paris together. She decided that she wanted to share accommodations, so there's nothing wrong with that, for Christ's sake. I was a young kid. We got in that room, she said, let's do something we'll never forget. Went up and made love on the Eiffel Tower. How many summits you know made love on the Eiffel Tower?
On the Eiffel Tower?
Huh.
Didn't get arrested?
Huh?
Didn't get arrested?
No. Well, we'd been pushing and touching in our group, and no. But, you know, sparks touching each other on the airplane, on and going, electric sparks are going. So we had about 10, 15 hours for foreplay. So when it got the real thing, she wore one of those flap open skirts, and we went up on the Eiffel Tower, and that's what we did. I guarantee you, the gun was already cocked.
MT made a lot of hearts. He also liked, I think, the concept of love and marriage and all of that, even though he was not a success at it. He was married, as I understand it, 6 times before beginning to date Marilee Williams, whom he dated for many years until she died earlier this year. So many times it was hearts for people that he took a shine to, so to speak. It was also to people recognizing that hearts and love were kind of something that is an ideal to be aspired to. And I think that was also part of his generosity. The right thing for him to give away was a heart.
You want me to make you a heart? Sure. I'll make you a heart. But I get my picture taken with you.
Oh.
But I gotta watch my image. I don't want people to know I'm so... I get my picture taken with your wife. You tell old Stan Adolf that if I had a daughter that's as good looking as you are, I'd go home and whip ass on mama because there's no way you could be mine. I can get, you're almost my tall.
Yes, I am.
How tall are you?
5'8".
She's got heels on.
Yeah, I got some. Ooh, look at those fancy toenails. I got a foot fetish, by the way. And hold that up so we can see it.
I am.
Those old, you know, those totems down there, most of them on the West End down there are love affairs I had with some girl. But I don't count. But the ones that are memorable, I got them up down there. And this hanky-panky's been going on ever since mankind, for Christ's sake.
So 6 wives and all this love making.
No love making up. What the hell? So if I had 400 or 500 girlfriends, what difference does it make? That's nothing. Goddamn, and I've been single for most of my life.
And kids?
Oh yeah. I've been married in 35 years almost.
How many kids?
Well, not a bunch.
Yeah.
Much. Let me see. Got grandkids? Hell, there ain't gonna find.
Are you grandpa or great grandpa?
Not great grandpa, don't think.
Yeah.
Might be, don't know.
He got a phone call one day when he was at my place, and it was somebody in Florida claiming to be his daughter, but he got mad finally and hung up on her. Yes, there's a lot of stories, but truth to them, lacking. Lacking. As to how many girlfriends he actually had, I don't believe all the stories anyway, so.
This doesn't necessarily have to be in there, but the family stuff has been challenging, you know. Rumor will tell you that he's got like 30 children out there and all these illegitimates, and, you know, having him as a dad, I'm sure, was hard.
Many people stop by to see him work, painting, welding, whatever. And one day this guy comes by who's early 30s and watches him. He's in his shed working and doesn't say anything, stays a while, and turns to go away. And at that point, MT says, "You know I know, don't you?" And this person says, "Yes." And they parted and never said another word. It was a son that he had by some affair with a woman many, 30-some years ago. And he obviously wanted to see Dad, came, saw Dad, said that was enough, I'm gone. It shook MT. And he had a similar instance happen after that, not too long after that, with a young woman. And so there were things that caused him from time to time to go back and reassess his own life. And I think the thing that was always admirable to me in his character was the fact that he was willing to admit those mistakes and go forward. He knew he was a flawed character. And that's why he didn't like hypocrisy in other people as well, because he was upfront with who he was and mistakes he's made, successes he'd had, and he just charged forward.
But he did say he said, well, I have a lot of regrets with my children. He said, I was not a very good father. And he said, I should have spent more time with them, but I didn't. And he said, and same way with his brother. He was a twin. MT had a twin brother. And he said, we just never did get along. And he says, probably mostly my fault. But he acknowledged that. He said he has to come to realizing that what he did was not right.
Well, MT had medical problems ever since I knew him. I would not have been surprised on each time I visited with him if he died the next week. I mean, he had heart problems, he had a pacemaker. The doctor told him he wasn't supposed to weld. He said, well, if I can't make my art, I don't want to be alive.
I got a pacemaker.
How long you had that?
Oh, 8, 10 years. I don't let much worry me, young man.
He continued to weld. He would weld until it zapped his pacemaker enough that he would lie down and take a nap or rest a bit, get rejuvenated, and come back and weld some more. So he was really dedicated to that.
Now you say, I'm never going to be 80 years old. That's true. If you sit down, you'll never make 80. The older you get, you gotta, every day you gotta work a little harder than you did the day before.
Are you happy with your life?
Hell yes, I'm happy with my life. Yep. I look at life different than most. I'm always looking forward to the future. I had a good time in my life. A good time. Fights, brawls, whorehouses, the whole 9 yards. My art will be here 100 years. That shit will stand there forever.
He seems to be really concerned with leaving his mark, and that's why he makes totems, and that's why he makes them out of iron and steel. He wants to leave an impression and have a sense of permanence here. And it's amazing though, because the pieces of art themselves, they deteriorate and they rust and they change character so much in just such a short amount of time that the impression he's leaving is not one of permanence. You know, it's so ephemeral still. And I find that really beautiful that he has this one, and even as a creator of it, he can't really ever fulfill that.
I don't want it to be sold off. I just want it to be here. Maybe somebody want to look at it, and maybe somebody won't. I just don't want to have it torn down. Which it will be torn down if certain factions get a hold of it.
Like who?
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. There's a lot of people don't like this art. I don't know why. It's out of my goddamn business. They want to look at it, fine. If they don't, who cares? I'm here for my art. I need the unlimited horizon, a sea of grass and wind for that art. But like the girl on the Eiffel Tower, Jesus Christ. I talk to her every year, have for better than 50 years, about 50 years. And every time for 50 years, I've always heard the same story. That's the highlight of her life. The one thing she will never forget is making love on the Eiffel Tower. I won't forget it either.
And he told me a lot of stories, a lot of the things that he was not proud of that he had done during his life, and a lot of things he was sorry he had done. And but he said, I really have no regrets. He said, I've just enjoyed my life the way it is. And
he had a lot of stuff in his head. I brought him home the last time here from Fort Dodge, and he had a lot going on, and he was just trying to sort it out. And about 3 or 4 weeks before that, he wanted me to try to help him figure out when something was real or when he had it in a dream or a nightmare. If it was really happened, or did he just have a dream or a nightmare? He wanted me to help him figure that out because he knew I could.
He said he was not religious, but he said, I have come to peace with my Maker and myself.
But when he got down and out, nobody had time for him. I just don't know why, they just didn't.
Who's gonna stop him? Nobody.
Nobody.
The grave. Ain't nobody gonna stop that old man, except God.
It's gonna rain. See, if they put you, here's what people don't understand. If they put you in a goddamn cemetery, it's over. You got your name on a rock. You go pay $7,000, $8,000, $10,000 for a goddamn tombstone, and then 20 years from now, people say, "Who the hell was that old fart?" You got a piece of art out here, and there's a history to it. Somebody will look into it. You can bet your ass on that.
He didn't want to die in a bed and be a feeble old person. He wanted to just be able to work as long as he could, and he said, if I sit down, I'm not going to get back up. As far as funerals go, it was very nice. And that day, it was the day of the solar eclipse, which was so fitting.
People would ask me, "Are you going to MT's funeral?" I said, "Yes, absolutely." They said, "Well, you'll be lonesome." No, just the opposite. There was a lot of people from all over the state, all over, everywhere. And his funeral was on the day of the eclipse, which was very fitting. Just about the time the service was concluding was just about the last part of the sun that was covered by the moon. So I thought that was just a neat thing. MT would have loved that.
MT was one of 17 kids. So at the funeral, there were a lot of half-brothers, half-sisters, second cousins twice removed, whatever. It would take a genius to draw the family tree, quite frankly.
You know, as you're driving to the cemetery, you have to go by his place. And then along the fence line out to the cemetery, too, he owns that property. And so there's a lot of his pieces out there. And then his plot is clear at the south end of the cemetery that butts right up against his property. And it was a very fitting end, I guess, and where he's resting, that, you know, it's right there, right by his property.
He had military honors at the funeral, so there was the gun salute and the flag on the coffin and all of that went with it. So it was a very respectful and very nice funeral. And he knew many, many years ago where he wanted to be buried. But he also, one of his wishes did not get fulfilled. He just wanted to be put in a sack and thrown in the hole and no coffin. But with the military funeral, he had the coffin. So
I'm sad he's gone.
This is MT Liggett, the new one that's going to be in the shop. Probably won't produce any more work than MT did in his last years, or last days even. But it's going to BMT Liggett and the rest of his body's down at the shop. He'll have a pair of bibs on with buttons and all on it, and BMT there forever. It's just a thing I thought I wanted to do.
I think a great piece of art that will withstand the test of time does one thing. It's open-ended enough that it allows someone else to tell their story and see their story in it, and another person to see their story in it. And because the two people are different, that they're going to have different stories. They're going to see it in different ways. And I think that can happen with MT's work.
You know, it's something he thought of, and leaving that behind in that town. And I don't think he did it with negative intent. I think he did it because he loved that place.